so adorable. It's surrealist and strange. Can you tell that's my bread and butter right there? Feel good nuggets in it. Hey y'all, it's Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today. And for this video, we're going to be talking about some queer books that I think are severely underhyped. All right, before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. And you got to tell me in the comments, what is a queer book that you think deserves more love? All right, to celebrate Pride Month, I thought it would be a lot of fun to go through my read books and see which of the queer ones that I've read do not have nearly enough ratings and reviews on Goodreads. I did try to go through and strategically pick some from different genres, but ironically, I kind of ended up doing that without even really trying. And then I will say, I do have an honorable mention that I'm not going to fully recommend here because I feel like I recommend it anytime I talk about underhyped books, and that's going to be the Darkest the Night series by Kelly York and Rowan Altwood. The first two books follow the same couple. The third book has a new couple, and we're supposed to be getting a fourth book at some point with that same couple, and I need more people to read it in the hopes that maybe that means the fourth book will come sooner. But apart from that one, like I said, I recommend it a lot. I do have 6 other books that I definitely think need your attention. Starting at the top is a nonfiction book that kind of is a combo between memoir meets self-help, but also an essay collection, and that is Queer Body Power by 𝗖cie 𝗁𝗁. Personally, I found this to be a very cathartic read, especially if you've struggled with body image issues. I think could possibly have some useful and feel-good nuggets in it that it did for me. But at the same time, I really just enjoyed the setup. It does have a lot of personal anecdotes from 𝗖cie 𝗁𝗁, but there are numerous different people that they interviewed, and it felt like a conversation at some points with some of these individuals. And I really appreciated that the author did their best to try and speak with different people from different backgrounds that may be queer but have a identity that is intersectional with something else. Dennis really did a solid job of trying to showcase the diverse experiences that these people have, even if they can all be connected by falling under the label as queer. There are some painful moments, there are some triggering topics that come up in this book, but at the same time, I felt like, though I have not read many self-help books, one of the main reasons I don't is because I feel like so many of them are pretty monolithic, and this one actually stood out for me, especially given the number of book bans and ridiculous laws going out lately. I honestly think even if you're not queer, if you don't fall outside the gender binary, and if you don't really struggle with your body image, you could probably still learn something from this book, because at the very base of it, it really just encourages empathy, and that's what I loved about it. Next up is actually a horror novella that I really loved the writing style of it, Green Fuse Burning by Tiffany Morris. This is definitely a weirder horror book, and I know some people aren't really into that, so I'm gonna put that at the top here. But the writing itself is gorgeously atmospheric. It really encapsulates the difficult feelings that the main character Rita is having as she goes through the process of grief for her father. It's very introspective, but at the same time, with what Rita ends up experiencing, it's surrealist and strange, but it also makes perfect sense given the fact that Rita herself is actually an artist. Having lost her father is actually starting to impact Rita's creativity, and another element of the story is it does start to impact her relationship with her girlfriend. Like I said, it's very introspective, it's slow moving and creeping rather than being outright scary, but I really thought the way the author plants the seeds for things that are just a little unsettling and then lets them ruminate throughout the book was very well done. And again, just kind of sticks true to the overall aesthetic of the story. There's also this very interesting, I guess I'm gonna label it a character that you don't quite know what they are, but the role they play for Rita is so well done. Very fascinating to me and really reinforced this fever dream feel to the story that personally I loved. I'm a weird horror girl. I like stuff that's a little strange and out there, so this was really up my alley in that way. I definitely need to check out more of this author's work, so if you have read any of their stuff, please let me know what I need to read in the comments down below. Going in the opposite direction, next one is a cute, fun story called Bingo Love by T. Franklin, and this is actually a standalone graphic novel that is so adorable. It follows these 2 women who actually ended up having a queer romance in the 60s when they were teenagers, but unfortunately, their families and society forced them apart, and now they've actually reconnected in their 70s. And oh my gosh, guys, this is so cute. Such a sweet read. At the same time, it does have some heart-wrenching moments in it. I think it's also just a very important little novella because it helps to showcase the difference in everybody's coming out stories. And especially for those who don't come out until later in life, where they've already started to establish their identity, this felt like it was an accurate representation of how tough that can be and the difficulties that can come with it, how hard it is to follow who you love, and pushing against societal pressures, familial expectations. Even though this does feel feel like a sweet little graphic novel, it does have a lot of important themes woven into it, some of which are on the heavier side, though this is short, obviously, so I do sort of wish those maybe got a little bit more time to allow everything to be expanded upon. Even still, I personally really enjoyed it and I highly recommend it. Next up is a book I swear I have never seen anybody else talk about on BookTube, but personally I had a lot of fun with it. The Boy in the Red Dress by Kristen Lambert, set in the 1920s at a queer speakeasy in New Orleans, and our main character Millie's best friend performs as a drag queen at this bar. Unfortunately though, somebody from his past comes to the bar, and then later that night their body is found. Millie's this real rough and tough bisexual character who is determined to do right by her best friend and prove his innocence. I'll be honest, she's not like my favorite immature sleuth. She did get a little frustrating at times, but it always felt like it was done in a way that made perfect sense for a teenager. I also gotta say, there's a queer love triangle done here, and it's probably the first time I've ever seen that done in a way that I actually really enjoyed and thought was resolved in a way that didn't drive me crazy. Given the time period, given the setting, of course atmosphere is very important, and I definitely think this author hit on that. Plus the mystery. I mean, the mystery itself is actually very well done in my opinion. There were little clues scattered throughout that you could try to follow, and also a few anxiety-inducing scenes that definitely put Millie in the middle of some danger. I actually did not guess the final reveal in this one, which is a big thing for me because I feel like lately, anytime I read a mystery, I tend to figure out some element of it, but that didn't happen here. It was a fun, entertaining, and unique mystery story. Next up is one I do think maybe a little bit more popular, but it still has a drastically low number on Goodreads. Feed Them Silence by Lee Mandello. Personally, I went into this expecting a horror book, but I would definitely say this is much more like sci-fi with a lot of introspection done, and then also some like dystopian future elements to it. We are following Sean, who is a scientist and goes through this experimental program to have her brain linked up with a brain of a wolf. Like I said, this is very introspective. Another one that's a really character-based story. Can you tell that's my bread and butter right there? And this one really talks about trauma and relationships, the impacts those two can have on one another, and the way it is done is so raw and emotional and really evocative in the way that it makes the reader feel. But at the same time, it's also this sci-fi story with, like I said, the sort of discussions around a possible dystopian future. And so I actually felt like Mandello wove in a lot of questions around ethics and morals within it, and kind of played with the lines of those, specifically when it came to science experiments and this connection that Sean forms with the wolf. I felt like those worked really well and kind of reinforced the themes that were being woven into the story, and also just added to Sean's character and really continued to make her this three-dimensional being that hopped off the page. I don't know if I would say I really liked this book, but it was a very interesting book. It was very unique, and like I said, I really enjoyed the way the author wove their themes together here and explored them with this story. So I really need to check out more of Lee Mandello's work, and I definitely think this book has an audience that has not yet found it. And last but certainly not least, because it is me, we gotta end on a positive note with How You Get the Girl by Anita Kelly. This is the third in their Love and Other Disaster series, I guess is what it's called. I feel like I mostly talk about the second book in this series because, I'll be honest, it's my favorite. But this one also really enjoyable. In this one, we were following Julie, who is a basketball coach. And one day she meets Elle, who was her like childhood hero. Elle had previously played college and professional basketball. However, now she is retired and she's recently taken over guardianship of her cousin, who is on Julie's team. I will say Kelly's character work is really great. I really liked watching Julie's character grow, seeing the struggles she was having, trying to still figure out who she is, and part of that does include her sexuality, which is also very well foiled with Elle's character, who has previously lived an established life and knew who she was until unfortunately her life was sort of upended with this decision to become the guardian of her cousin. And it's really showcasing to her that she's going to have to reprioritize some things in her life, but not only in their backgrounds, but also just in their personalities. They were really great foils to one another. Julie is 100% golden retriever. Elle has definitely got cat energy going on. And I really loved the way these two relied on each other and worked together and helped one another. And the dynamic between the two of them was so fun, especially with the setup that it has. It's not quite celebrity romance, but it like kind of has that feel at the start. And though the two of them are like instantly attracted to one another, it does take some time for the romance to really get building. I did really like that these two become friends first before anything romantic starts to happen. And also, I always always enjoy a romance book where the third act conflict is not some stupid miscommunication thing and is instead an outside thing that requires the two main characters to work together. And that's exactly what happens here, and I always find it so refreshing. But like I said, I have not seen nearly enough people read this one, and I know I am always looking for more sapphic romance books, so I know there are other people doing the same. All right, and on that note, that is especially it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let's leave the purple heart emoji down in the comments. I have links to all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me down in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!